What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We have a jam-packed news show today. A lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about a swap deal with Denzel Dumfries and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We're going to be talking about some transfer news with Brian Brobbey. We're going to be talking about Dan Ashworth, no one knows his name. And we're also going to be talking about Ineos and Omar's plans for the next couple of years. So do buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. And I hope you all enjoy it. Okay, let's get into things. Shreyas, how are we doing, pal?
Yeah, doing fairly well. A perfect introduction to the show. Yeah.
I was going to say, did you like my little plain introduction there?
Yeah. It was a plain instruction and it was bordering on creepy as well on a couple of...
It can get creepier, mate. Yeah. It can definitely get creepier. If you'd like a swap deal, let me know and I'll get in your phone contacts. It can get creepy, don't worry about that. I just thought I'd balance it out a little bit. And also, just to switch it up a bit, because we always, what's going on? Let's just have a chat, man, innit? So, look, we're gonna kick things off with that rejected swap deal. I mean, I don't know how much of it is, absolute concrete information, how much is bollocks, effectively. The first question, well, actually, let me just read out the article, and then that's probably best to read that out first, innit, and then do the questions. Manchester United have rejected a swap deal from Inter Milan of Denzel Dumfries for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, my first question for you is, Shreyas, which I want to get out of the way. First and foremost, is Aaron Wan-Bissaka or Diego Dalot good enough going forward as your number one choice? And if the answer is no, why?
I think with Wan-Bissaka not as number one, I think he's someone who can still be a very reliable number, someone to come on as backup and do a job for us. Dalot, I'm still unconvinced. Because at times he's shown that he's capable of doing that job. Once again, age is a factor which benefits Dalot a lot more because he's still fairly young. But he's just, once again, way too inconsistent with his performances. Like when he's playing well, you can see him actually, doing quite well, bombing forward. I think going forward, he's one of the better fullbacks that we have at the club right now. And considering, the ability of both the players, Ten Hag just seems to get, more utility out of Dalot because he's been used in midfield, he's been used as a right back, he's been used a lot moving forward as well, he's been used as, in that left back slot as well, and he's got a couple of goals and assists for us this season. So I do get that he can be very, very frustrating at times, but I think on the other hand, you also have to look at it and say that, this guy is probably the only player who's played every single game since the start of the season. Like one player throughout this 11 who's played every single game has been Diogo Dalot, whether it's left back, right back, whichever position. So fatigue is something that definitely comes into play when you played over 30 games, and I think it does get tough with time. 1 second, my camera froze.
Yeah, I can still hear you, but you pause on it's like you just popped a sweet and it's sour as fuck. That's what we paused on. Where's he gone?
It's good.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah. And I think, personally, both of them, they're good as bench options. They're not good as starting options. And I think one of them will stay, one of them will go. And personally, I think Dalot will be the one staying. Because with Wan-Bissaka, at least, there is a positive side to it. Because at least people are interested in him. Right now with Dalot, I think with the way club, things are going around the club as well. Recently, we saw a lot of positive articles come out on him as well. So I think it shows that the club do want to, keep hold of him for the foreseeable future. But I think with Wan-Bissaka, he'll be moving. Whether it's to a Prem side, whether it's to, a Serie A club, I don't know. But I think his time will be up. Because I just don't think that... I think when everyone is fit, right now with the current manager, Ten Hag does seem to favour Dalot a lot more than he does Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
I think he gets a lot out of him as well. I definitely agree with that. Whereas Wan-Bissaka, I mean, I know he played left back in the last game, but that wasn't planned at all. That was just because, he kind of had to throw him in there. I do think it's interesting, the right back dynamic, and I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts as well, because it's not really like there's a definite one where you'd go, he needs to fucking go, or he's like, there's pros and cons, excuse the pun, with both players. I've seen Dalot have some really good games at left back against Saka. He seems to have better games at left back actually than right back, just again, in my opinion. Wan-Bissaka is one of those. It's a shutdown operation. If you got a winger like Doku, let's say for example, or an Mbappe or someone like that, or you're playing someone massive in Europe, I think Wan-Bissaka is the kind of right back you can go to when you go put him in shackles. You know what I mean? St. Maximum.
Yeah.
Remember that in the final?
Yeah.
Put him in shackles. Wamba Shackles, I think he should be called. That would be a much better name for him. So I genuinely, if someone had gone to me now and he said, right, you need to sell one, I don't know who. I genuinely, because I think Dalot's got so much potential. You hear about stuff that, how he works in training, like he's consistent all the time and he's turning up, he's staying extra. But then Wan-Bissaka's just like, there's no one in world football at the moment that gives you what he gives you. So then
that is a definite point on him. But I think just right now, most of the managers, I think if you have to just compare both the players, it would make much more sense to keep hold of Wan-Bissaka because he offers us something a lot more different. But I think right now with the kind of managers that are coming in, for example Ten Hag, they want those sort of fullbacks that do the job that Dalot does. They want more attacking. They want them to invert. They want them to tuck in midfield. They want them to, actually be that 60-30 or 60-40 or 70-30 winger, but that 60 or 70 should lie in the attacking side of things. And I think that's why a lot of managers actually favor attacking fullbacks right now. Unless maybe, if Ten Hag does get the sack and then another manager comes in whose first priority is to, just solidify the defense. That's the only way I see actually Wan-Bissaka actually staying, because if you want to shore up your defense, you need those sort of fullbacks. And you've already got Wan-Bissaka, so it does actually take care of a lot of problems, but I just don't see it happening right now. I genuinely don't see it.
I think it's a case at United where, I don't know how many times we said it about Fred and McTominay, kind of wanting to mould them into one player. We said about Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. I think we need someone like a Reece James, for example, who's very good at doing both sides of the game.
Exactly.
We need a
very complete. I think we just need a complete overall player as a full package. Yeah. Because right now we've got, okay, this player is good at this, but this player is good at this. We need a combination of it. And and I think with Dalot, like you said, there are games where he looks like a complete package, like that Arsenal game as well. He completely took care of Saka on that flank. There have been multiple games last season as well where he looked like the real deal, but he's just been way too inconsistent. Like, genuinely, with the attitude he has, he's a very likable player on the pitch. He's genuinely a very likable player to have on the pitch. He seems to have a good bonding with the other three players in the back line as well every single time. Looks very motivated and, expresses himself a lot on the pitch as well. So he does endear...
Should we be keeping him because they're nice guys?
Exactly my point. So I think a lot of it actually, rests up on the decision on who the next manager or whether Ten Hag will continue in the job or not. Because if we get someone who wants to play as the counter-attacking style, who wants to play more of a compact way of football, then Wan-Bissaka is staying. Then there's no doubt. Once again, Wan-Bissaka is someone who is English, and with Ineos coming in, you will see a lot more English players actually solidifying their positions in our lineup. And I just think that if you go with an attacking manager or a progressive manager who wants to build more things moving forward, I think Wan-Bissaka's time is done. Maybe Dalot's is as well, but I think in this summer, you can only get rid of one of the two. So if you bring in an attacking and more progressive manager, Dalot stays and Wan-Bissaka goes. If you go with a compact and defensive style or counter-attack style, Wan-Bissaka stays, Dalot goes.
Yeah, we're going to get into the one who's, the swap on the other side, if you will. Dino Lewis saying I'd take Dumfries over Dalot. Ed Barrett saying both of our right backs are good bench options. I think that is probably where we both stand in it, to be fair. Yeah. Either way, I'd probably agree with that. Wan-Bissaka is probably the best 1v1 defender in the world. He normally drops a 7 out of 10 in most games, maybe higher. Dalot ain't all that defending, and his forward play is a bit of a myth, I think. It's very interesting. The wagging finger is class. Yeah. Do you remember when Paul Scholes put a 42 out of 42 high five? Yeah. Look, they both got positives. Like I said, they both got negatives. But I think that right-hand side for Manchester United is dead again. Like, even under Ole, we always spoke about the left-hand side, Shaw, Pogba, Rashford when he was on it, and the right side, just Wan-Bissaka, Greenwood, whoever it was, Dan James, Wan-Bissaka just being so dead. And I think that is a massive hindrance on a Wan-Bissaka. Even Dalot, sometimes when he plays at right back, like, you don't see them overlapping runs like consistently. We don't get that nowhere near enough. And someone like a Dumfries definitely does that. My only concern with that, Shreyas, is the fact that this guy plays in a back five for club and country.
Exactly.
And he's very prone to counter-attacks as well. So why would you then bring in the opposite?
I wouldn't go for him. Maybe 3 seasons ago I would have. But now I wouldn't. I genuinely won't go for him because, once again, you're bringing in someone who has a major flaw in his game. And something that I've learned over the years is never go for a defender who plays in a back five unless you yourself play a back five. Like, genuinely don't. Yeah. And another big red flag about him is he's from Inter Milan. We've been duped by Milan just this season. Let's just navigate elsewhere. Like, don't go for players from Dortmund. Don't go from players from Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Explore other avenues. There are still a lot of clubs in Europe.
Red flags in our transfer policy.
Exactly.
Like, if Dortmund pop up, no. Italy, no.
No. Yeah.
No.
Explore other clubs in the Bundesliga. You still got many different clubs. You explore the La Liga as well. You've got some good gems coming from there. Loads of leagues out there, and you
Portuguese league.
Yeah,
go have a look there. Yeah. French leagues, a couple of talents. Yeah.
Just don't go for Inter Milan and Dortmund players right now. Like, genuinely don't.
That's the thing with it. Same thing with, like, I like the look of Frimpong as well. I prefer Frimpong than I do to Dumfries. But then you're having the same conversation in the sense where, like, I know the way Leverkusen play and how they play in a minute, it's unbelievable. I know they're very flexible in the system, but predominantly is a very attacking wing back. They're both attacking Dutch wing backs. And this Dutch connection, again, it's like going to pay a big fee for an English centre back now. I'd get Maguire syndrome. Do you know what I mean? Like, anytime we link with a Dutch player,
the thing is to have those sort of fullbacks, and especially if you expect them to actually pull in with those sort of numbers, you need to have a stable, the 2 centre backs. You need to have 3 first choice, very good centre backs at your club. You cannot deal with these sort of fullbacks and then expect to play Evans alongside Varane or play Maguire, because you just cannot get the best out of these fullbacks if you don't allow them to play the way they actually know how to, or the way they can best express themselves on the pitch. I think it's been happening for years at United. Even though when we've got some attacking fullbacks, even right now, if I speak about Dalot as well, we know his best game is when he's moving forward. But right now, they don't have any other option but to actually tuck inside, because you cannot leave Evans behind. We saw it repeatedly in the Tottenham game as well. Evans was trying to move into midfield every single time when he got the opportunity to. And Dalot knew that if Dalot progressed forward, we would have been immediately done. And it happened on a couple of occasions as well when Werner got in behind. He missed because he cannot score, but any other club, like, imagine Son in that position, he could have scored a hat-trick. So there is no other option for our fullbacks but to actually tuck in. And it's good that maybe now with Varane and Sandro coming back, you can play a higher line. Probably it eliminates a lot of flaws in that system, but you need 3 good quality centre backs who've got the pace and who've got the credibility to actually play that high line to get the best out of attacking fullbacks.
Yeah, because obviously it's all going to depend systematically how you play as well, like you mentioned before. I don't know the system. I don't know how it's going to work. I need to see everybody back first and everybody fit and firing before we can even it's almost guesswork at this point, because this season's just felt like a complete freestyle. We'll leave you with that question as we move on to the next topic. What right back would you bring in? And give me a bit of a couple of sentences as to why you'd bring in. Don't just say Frimpong. Because the question I'm going to come back with you is, well, is he going to be good in the back 4? Do you think he'd suit the system? State your reasons why you would go for that right back, and we'll read them comments out shortly. I want to move on to the next bit. Thought Fabrizio Romano said something very interesting today, Shreyas, about Omar Barreda. So the new board will not allow non-performing players to stay at the club for several years. Omar Barreda feels that the players have to perform or leave the club within 1 or 2 years, which is fucking music to our ears, isn't it?
Yeah, because we've had so many players at this club with the hope they will come good, Eventually, they'll be good.
Oh, God.
You need to give them more time to settle in. They get 3 or 4 years of time, and they end up just running down their contracts and leaving the club for free. So it's been an ongoing cycle for us, and it's a very good move. It creates more, it creates much more of a mental state at the club that the players know that they have to perform better. It makes, United actually feel like a club who, rather than being a reactive club, they are much more progressive, they are much more forward thinking, and on the same hand, it keeps a lot of negative energy out, because right now we've seen so many players just getting starts for free, just getting picked because they have to be picked in a sort of situation.
Well, who fits in this category then? Let's go through it right now. So that exact category that I mentioned about being here maybe too long, not lived up to that kind of first 2 years. Who's fitting into that category?
Anthony, definitely. Anthony fits into that of 100%. Sancho fits into that 100%. He's gone out on loan now, but he'll eventually come back, so he will fit into that category as well. Martial, definitely. He's running out his contract anyway. He's running out his contract anyway.
They've been here a fucking decade.
Yeah.
A decade. Like, under Van Gaal bought him, under Mourinho, under Ole,
under Ragnick, now under Ten Hag.
If you want to throw him in there.
Yeah.
And then Ten Hag, like 6 different coaches or whatever.
And he had enough opportunities as well. He had a number of opportunities.
9 years, it's just a madness. Like, I don't think that's a thing in football anymore, that people stay at a club for that fucking long.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He's loyal, no doubt, but...
Well, I'm loyal for 250 grand a week, mate. Do you know what I mean?
But
when he's definitely not playing.
Martial falls into that category. McTominay definitely falls into that category as well. He's been at the club for ages now as well. Maguire falls into that category. But except that, right now, you could put Rashford in it. You genuinely could put Marcus Rashford in it. You could even put Bruno Fernandes in that category as well. Because that, right now they're getting the start because they just have to start. I love both of these players. I genuinely want them to do really well because I think, they have the capability to be world-class players, both Bruno as well as Rashford. But right now they're just really frustrating to watch. I hope they turn it around by the end of the season, but it's just very tough to watch them at times right now. Especially
at the same time, Shreyas, I want them standards there to like, so if they don't, maybe look at selling them. Because how many times can you realistically go through the same process with Rashford where we're like, oh, well, he's going to be good next year. And he's, do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe just, loan him out one season. On the alternate season, get him back. He scores. Loan him out again. Get him back then.
Just, just to be honest, I thought that was a serious suggestion at first. Like, loan Rashford. He's loaded, not a chance. But I take your point. I think Ineos can be ruthless, aren't they, in the summer? So.
And I think, considering what we've heard that they want to spend big, we're going to be seeing a lot of homegrown talents leaving because FFP is going to play a big role. If Rashford leaves and I think he still generates about 45 or 50 million at least, Marcus Rashford.
Definitely.
Okay?
Definitely.
McTominay, we know how bad he has been, but when people look at his CV, they'll go top scorer for United in the Premier League. Sell him for about 40 and 45.
He'd do a job, wouldn't he, for like a team that's below us?
Yeah, definitely he will. And you get a good chunk, like 50 million. I think at least 50 million for Rashford is a decent price. Same for McTominay, I would say around 30 million. I think it's a decent price for McTominay as well. So that's 85 million just from these two players. If Sancho comes back, doesn't really help that much with FFP, but still, it's a lot of wages off the book, 350,000 per week. If Greenwood comes back, the way he's killing it at Getafe right now, he can be sold for a very huge price as well. So just these 3 outgoings and plus Sancho make these 4 outgoings, United will be in a very good position to actually bring in some players, not just for the first team, but just to actually fill quality on the bench as well.
I agree, but I think there's a policy in place in a similar vein to FFP where you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players in team. Can't remember what it was, like English homegrown players. So then I don't know how many you would be willing to get rid of. I still think they're going to bring Greenwood back. I think they're going to bring him back. On
There's a good chance.
Just because simply how how Anthony and Sancho are performing. I really do. Like, I'm not even just saying it for like clicks or anything. I genuinely believe that they'll bring him back. So there's some huge decisions to be made. They're also obviously Ineos going to be making huge decisions up top. You've seen that, straight off the bat with guys like Omar, guys like Jean-Claude Blanc being involved. Kind of, I don't know what his specific role is going to be, but it's something on the board. Another guy, Romano, announced today, Schweiz, that Ineos are working extremely hard to bring Dan Ashworth in, trying to turn his head from the club. The question I want to ask you, and again I'll ask you guys in the chat, is if you're the person now, if you're Jim Ratcliffe or Dave Brailsford and you're bringing in Dan Ashworth, what are you saying to him to say, leave Newcastle and come to Manchester United? Like, what's the incentive there, do you think?
The same way we got Omar. just use
I know,
the
but
same.
I'm saying that with City it's slightly different, though, isn't it? Because they're at the top of the mountain. He's achieved what he's achieved, and then this is a step up from where City, because he was a chief footballing executive or whatever it was. Now he's a CEO at United. Huge challenge, opportunity. Dan Ashworth's only recently gone into Newcastle, just got his feet under the thing, doing relatively well there, brought through some good players and stuff. Why, if you're Dan Ashworth, what would turn... People say money in the chat. Obviously, that's going to be a big factor. But what else? Like, what would entice you about the project that Ineos are offering, do you think?
I think with United, the thing is, the first manager, coach, and the management who actually get things right and actually, win the trophy. I say a major trophy. I think it will be a big statement, because imagine a club who hasn't really done anything major since 2013. Yes, we've won the Europa League. Yes, we've won trophies here and there. But we haven't had that sort of dominance ever since that period. And I just think, just imagine the manager who will come in and the management that will come in and be able to replicate that. I'm not saying that sustain it for like 10 years. Just replicate that and make us challenging once again, and, make us hungry for trophies, create that sort of atmosphere just again at United. I think it will be a big win. And that is something which you can easily create at Newcastle with the kind of funding that they've got right now, with the kind of, management, with the way that club is run, everybody being on the same page. With United, it is genuinely something, everything is being uprooted, everything is being removed, and a complete fresh start is being given. And I think with Dan Ashworth, something that definitely would come into the picture would be that, there is no offense to Newcastle United, but the story of actually, bringing Manchester United back to where it is, it is a much different, and I think it is a much bigger story than Newcastle United.
Yeah. I described it to Sam the other day, like Thanos putting the stones in the gauntlet. I think getting Omar Barada is obviously a huge coup. I think
it's a very big move, because like, imagine a guy who's been doing it, who did it at Barcelona, has been doing it for quite a considerable time at Manchester City, won the treble with them, made some really good signings, some some who have actually been have over the course of their career become Premier League legends as well. So he knows what he's doing. And to convince a guy of such caliber to join Manchester United, which, to be very honest,
must be promising, innit?
Yeah.
The project. Like, Ineos must have gone really all out, laid out the blueprint and said, this is what we're going to do. These are the guys we're going to bring in.
And you are going to be the one who's going to be heading it from the forefront.
Exactly. Spearheading it.
Yeah, and I think if you can bring someone of that caliber and that experience into the club, especially from your rivals, I would say, Manchester City, Ineos must be building something considerably, I would say, attractive to play, people of this profile, play, people of this experience, because it's not easy at all to bring in people of this profile, especially from clubs that are doing so well, like genuinely doing so well.
Well, it's what they're doing. Like, a lot of people saying, "Oh, they're going Newcastle getting this guy, they're going City getting this guy." Yep. That's why I keep using that Avengers analogy, because they are assembling. If you're trying to sort the root of this problem out of United, which has always been what's been going on upstairs from the top down to the bottom, you're going to do that. Take it out, root stem, get rid of Richard Arnold gone, John Murtaugh probably go, a couple of other people losing jobs and stuff, and you get the best in class. That is the best possible way you can go about it. Now, whether they gel or not, I'm sure Thor's had arguments with fucking, Rocket Raccoon and, you know what I mean? It happens. But the whole point of it is they are the best and they are proven at the highest elite level in dealing with stuff like this. So if they get that right and the recruitment right, everything else behind it just bumps up naturally anyway. All your commercial revenue and stuff like that. Like, it just makes sense. And I think that's why a lot of people are like, Ratcliffe putting his money in and, keeping the Glazers afloat, which I understand to a certain extent. But at the same time, if he leaves a legacy, the guy's 72 now, 73, as bringing Manchester United back from the dead, back to top of European football, what a fucking story that'd be. And I think that's, like you said, and like people said in the chat, I think that's what would really be the driving kind of success behind it, in my opinion, at least. So, yeah. I think if Everton will go down, if they get another point deduction, we'll go for Braithwaite at a cut price, help with the English quote. Well, I agree with that. Dino Lewis is a fantastic shout. Tim99 said, I'd just ask, do you want to work for Manchester United? I mean, kind of holds weight, I suppose. Yeah. Newcastle isn't a financial juggernaut that we are. The budget is bigger here because we are a larger source of revenue. That's a very fair point as well. Players will be looking at United making moves to become big again and will be dying to join for the glory. I do agree. Obviously, United's one of the biggest clubs in the world, so there's no doubt in that. The money would be better. Maybe the project would be better. But I'm just thinking, he has got a decent project there, and Newcastle have been doing, up until recently, relatively well. So we'll see what happens with that. Last thing I want to talk about, Shrey, there's a bit of news about Brian Brobbey again. Seems to be in the circulation of transfer talk at the moment, which I'm not even paying any mind to whatsoever. But they're being linked with these Dutch players again, players from fucking Eredivisie again.
Ajax again.
Ajax again. Does that just does that give you, the ick almost?
I just feel like with United, don't they see any other team or any other league whatsoever? Like, there are different players available in the market than just these options that you keep on going with.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like, fuck me, open your eyes, man. There's a whole planet of football players.
There are so many young talents coming through from the French league, from the Spanish league this season, and it is a certain fact that next season clubs like Girona and clubs like Leverkusen will be raided for players. Like, it's a certain thing that it will happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But we will still go for Brian Brobbey. Because
for some reason, obsession.
Yeah, because for some reason I've seen him. He's an alright player. He's not someone who I'll say he comes in, he completely changes the team altogether. Yeah, no. He's not that sort of a player.
Holding it up.
Yeah,
he's not an amazing finisher.
He's someone for a 10 to 15 goal, 10 to 15 goal strikers.
Yeah.
He's that sort of a player.
If Crystal Palace went and signed him now,
exactly. He can do a good job there, get a drift of the Premier League, and then probably he jumps from there. The thing has been with Ajax, he made one move. He moved to Leipzig. It failed. It failed horribly for him at Leipzig, and then he went back to Ajax. So,
but if it was a loan, I'd take a punt. If he was available on loan,
exactly.
Like, cool.
Exactly. Like with Amrabat as well, it's been a loan, and we all know that it's just never going to work out. So with Brobbey as well, but I will still say with Brobbey, even if you get him on loan, I don't think he helps Højlund a lot. Like, I genuinely don't think he helps out Højlund a lot, because you've got a gamble signing already, which I think Højlund is still a safe gamble, because I think he'll come really good. Like, I see his instincts. I still think that he'll come out as a very, very good player for United.
And will Brobbey be that mentor as well?
Exactly, because he is still a youngster. He's like young. 20. He's 24, 25, around that age bracket as well.
Yeah.
And you've got Højlund, who's also in his young 20s. Why would you want to go for that sort of a player? Why not go for someone who can actually mentor him in that position? Why not just go someone who, in all fairness, can actually just knit this attack together? Because we need someone who can bring this attack all together. Højlund cannot do that. He's still fairly young, getting a drift of this league, and no one passes to him in the first place. And he doesn't have...
Lewis has just said Ivan Toney in summer. I really, really like Ivan Toney. I know you're a fan as well, but I think the competition for him in the summers...
I think he moves Arsenal. Like, genuinely, I think he moves Arsenal.
Definitely, I agree. And I think if he does go to Arsenal, they've got a real opportunity.
I think they do. Because right now the reason that they're struggling
is
opportunity
of doing some damage if he goes there.
I think genuinely they have a good opportunity, because right now the only reason they're struggling is they don't have a clinical finisher up front. They generate a lot of chances. They are not able to take him in.
Jesus and Ketia.
Yeah, and Tony, I think Ivan Tony does elevate them a lot. He genuinely does.
Yeah. For sure. Right, we can leave it there. I just want to say very quickly, whilst there's some members in the chat, I spent 2 days on an edit, a 30-minute edit, to go out to watch all the best moments from the decade. It's a really good video, and copywriters blocked it, so we couldn't put it out yesterday, which I was fucking gutted about. So I'm gonna do two videos this week to obviously make up for that. I'm gutted, man, because it was such a good video. Like, it went through all the best moments. I'm fucking screaming, jubilation, and then just was devastated. It took a while as well to do. So there's gonna be a different video. And there'll be 2 members' videos dropping this week at some point. One of them will be live, one of them will be edited. Football is back this week. I know we play Newport on Saturday.
Blockbuster game. Yeah, 28th.
Yeah, look, it's not a blockbuster, but United are playing football in it, which we haven't seen for a long time, in all seriousness. So, that preview will probably be out on Friday, and we'll have a couple of guests on this week. I think Alice Abrahams, maybe tomorrow, I need to speak to her, maybe coming on, and then other bits of news shows and stuff like that. So, to stay locked in. Also, as well, I don't know if people are TikTok users or whatever, etc. I go live on TikTok every day now as well from 6 o'clock, so if you want to come get in the mix on that and check us out over on there, please do. But check us out on socials in general. Subscribe to the channel. Smash like in the video. This community is growing and growing and growing every single day, and it's all thanks to you guys. So, legends, hope the start to the week hasn't been too shit for you. And me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. See you in a bit.